I'm pleased to be here at this COP18 conference because I think of all the conferences I've been to, this is one that's getting closer and closer really to what I think is a crisis, and the crisis is over this. We need to increase food production as farmers because our population is growing, and it's growing rapidly. 220,000 people per day are added to the world's dinner table. And secondly, we're dealing with climate change, which is affecting in a negative way production of agricultural commodities. We have more extreme weather events, storms and floods and droughts and things like that hurt our production, in addition to higher temperatures that sometimes have a negative effect on crops too. So here we are at the UN trying to deal with both of these things simultaneously in this convention of the parties. This group, of course, is concerned mostly with climate change and what to do. Farmers look at that in two ways. One, we have to adapt to climate change, meaning we need more research to develop new seeds and new methods for dealing with a hotter climate, sometimes hotter and wetter, sometimes hotter and drier. And we need new methods of farming to try to deal with that as well. So that's one thing, is adapting to the climate change. The other one is lessening the effect of climate change by trapping greenhouse gases in the soil. Sequestering carbon in the soil is one way. Preventing methane from going into the atmosphere from animal manure is another, and we can do that through methane digesters. So those are some of the things we've been talking about. I hope, and I hope I'm wrong, but I hope that we are able to avoid the crisis. I guess I shouldn't have said I hope I'm wrong, but I hope we can avoid the crisis. You know, I worry about that because it seems to me that we are close to a crisis in food production, and we haven't really, or the policymakers haven't really figured out how much danger our agricultural production is in from climate change, storms and so forth, and droughts. But action is needed soon. I often think, and you may want to ask, why haven't we acted on this sooner? I think it's because we haven't had the will as a world community to act on it sooner. It isn't, we often blame the politicians, but the politicians usually reflect the will of their countries, of the voters, of the citizens in their countries. So I think what we need to do is do a lot of education of consumers and of citizens in our countries, as well as enlighten our politicians. And then I know, in addition, let's be quite honest, there's conflicts between regions when they come to these COP meetings. Some parts of the world don't want to do the same things as other parts of the world. So those are issues to deal with. One of the things that's most important to do for food security is to increase production by farmers in developing countries. Those are exactly the areas where the population is going to grow the most. And so those are the farms that are going to have to produce more, 70% more food by 2050 in order to feed their people. So that needs to get started now, that effort to help the developing countries produce more. And I should point out that in those developing countries, most of the farmers are women. And those women farmers need some things that are very basic. They need the right to own property. They need the right to take out loans. They need the right education so that they can learn new farming practices. There are success stories. I can think of two women that I was privileged to be with at the Commission on the Status of Women at the UN in New York last March. Two women from Africa who against all odds, their husbands had died. They're in different countries, but their husbands had died. They couldn't inherit property. They were able to get some more farmland. They went to farm meetings, they learned new skills. They were despised by the other women in their community because they were going to what had been just the men's meetings, but they persevered. Their farms did better in production, and then the community started to say, what is this woman doing that makes her farm yield more maize than the other farms? So they learned from her, and they elected her as president of the farm organization. And today she's one of the leaders from a developing country in agriculture. So with courage and with determination, these women pulled themselves up and became better farmers. Now what we need to do is get that sort of story to more farm women in the developing countries so that they can do the same things. And we need to get a service out there that can help them learn new farming techniques, an extension service. We need to get them some credit, and we need to get them some rights if we can do that. But that'll be a long time in coming. You also asked about can women do all this? Can women manage their home and take care of their children and do all those domestic chores and still run the farm? Well, these women that I knew wanted to do that because they were very motivated to make a better life for their families and their children. And they were motivated, strong desire to have a farm that would prosper so they could send their children to school and get electricity and buy a cow and do those kinds of things. Improve their farm, improve their family life. So I don't know the answer to that question about can women do it all. Some of them can, but it's asking a lot. But of course, as I always say, women are better at, as we say, multitasking than men, I think. So I hope they can. I think the future depends on, to a large degree, on women farmers and getting them their rights. The future not just of the environment, but the future of the human race and of the health of our planet in terms of the environment.